Tammy. I'm the co-founder and CEO of SymptoLab, which is a science-based digital platform for managing complex hormone-related diseases. In my background, I have a PhD in theoretical chemistry, which is actually part of the story why SymptoLab started. SymptoLab started from my own personal story, so let me take you through this journey. I have endometriosis. I have endometriosis for more than 20 years now, but I was diagnosed only 6 years ago. 2 years prior to my diagnosis, my health condition got so bad to the point that I basically spent 2 years of my life in bed. And after 2 years in bed and so many symptoms, I started thinking maybe I should use my own mathematical skills to try and understand what is so wrong with me. I had so many symptoms. So I started looking for patterns and correlations in my own symptoms until I finally diagnosed myself with endometriosis. At that point, I thought that was the end of it, but that was actually just the beginning. I had to keep using this methodology to go symptom by symptom to find the pattern of each of the symptoms, to understand which part of the hormonal cycle actually flaring that symptom. And by doing that, I helped my physician understand the root cause of each of the symptoms and then get an accurate and targeted treatment per symptom. And that is eventually how I got my life back. At that point, I started thinking, how can I use the same methodology to help other patients to get the same level of treatment as I did? And this is how SymptoLab started. So I'm not alone in this fight. There's about 25 million women fighting complex hormone-related conditions. So why is it so complicated? Because we have dozens of symptoms across multiple body systems. All of these symptoms can fluctuate with the hormonal cycle, and it can vary between patients, meaning there's no one-size-fits-all treatment for all patients. Now, looking at it from a physician perspective, they don't have the scientific tool to analyze this amount of data when there are so many symptoms. So they can't even provide the personalized treatment that these patients need. Looking at that from the patient perspective, having so many symptoms, they are struggling to prove their pain to the physician. And as a result, they're getting the wrong treatment or that they're getting no treatment at all. And then they have worsening symptoms and worsening comorbidities. So in the company, we decided to focus first on endometriosis. This is my own disease, as I mentioned. Endometriosis is a chronic, progressive, multisystemic disease that's causing inflammation in inner organs of the pelvic. So you can just imagine how painful this disease can be. So how many patients are actually suffering from this crazy disease? 1 of 10 women. 1 of 10 women suffer from endometriosis. It's about 10 million women in the US. It's a crazy number. And then it still takes about 12 years to diagnose it. And another fact that we know about endometriosis is that an endo patient can suffer on average from about 30 symptoms. And this is just a few of the symptoms they can suffer from to get the idea. So how SymptoLab can help these diseases? SymptoLab transformed the patient daily symptom data into science-based insight that eventually the physician can actually act on to create personalized treatment plans per symptom, per patient. So how are we doing that? We're starting with the patient. For each patient, we're building them their own unique symptom profile and their own personalized pain scale. Once we do that, they start tracking their daily their symptoms on a daily basis. Once we have enough data, we take this data into the SymptoLab black box, and there we're using a medical database to structure the data, to transform this subjective data into an objective data. Once the data is ready, we can start using our statistical modeling and our machine learning model to start evaluating treatment effectiveness, to find symptom patterns and correlations with the hormonal cycle, and to predict the symptoms. With that, we provide monthly reports to the physician and to the patient. They sit together, they review the results, they adjust the personalized treatment plan per symptom, and then they can refine it, meaning the patient keep monitoring that, we keep analyzing that, they keep getting the reports until eventually we improve the patient outcomes and quality of life. So now that we understand SymptoLab, let's take SymptoLab in action and see an example. And again, I'm going back to my story. As I said, I was serious in bed. I had crazy symptoms, tons of symptoms. One of the craziest symptoms I had was that I lost the ability to talk for 2 years. Sounds crazy, and that's what everyone actually told me, that I'm crazy, and it's in my head. And if I try, I can talk, but I couldn't. So I started looking for patterns, and what I saw eventually is that the ability to talk, in my case, is actually even decreasing more when some of my endo symptoms were flaring up. So if I found the pattern, I can predict it. So I predicted it for the next month, and I scheduled the same exact test on the vocal cords for good and bad days of the endo. And what we finally saw is that when my endo is flaring up and when my pelvic is inflamed, it's causing a chain of events that eventually causing silent reflux that goes all the way to the vocal cords and burns them. So now we couldn't treat at that point, we couldn't treat the endo, but we could treat the reflux. And at that point, when I got the reflux medication, I got my voice back. And as you can see, I'm standing here today talking to you with my own voice. So that's one example of how SymptoLab works. And going back to the company, where we are now, we finished in 2024 the first clinical study. With the results of this study, we got accepted into the runway program in Cornell Tech, where we are now. We were able to launch our first MVP and to secure a state grant from New York State. With this, we're going to start 2 pilots in 2026, one in Weill Cornell Medicine and one in NYU Langone. The plan is that with these results, we will be able to have a new and improved MVP in 2027 with already paying customers. And in 2028, the idea is to expand the platform to basically any disease that is triggered by hormones. It's going to be the same exact platform, same exact science, just different marketing. And as you can see, each of these conditions here is a market opportunity by its own. So I hope you understand by now that for us, endometriosis is just the beginning. Our vision is to help any woman who suffers from any disease that is triggered by hormones to get back control over her pain, over her disease, and over her life by getting the right treatment for her. This is my co-founder, Alon, our advisory board, and business advisory board. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. So who are your customers in this case? Is it the primaries, the doctors, or is it the individual women? How are you thinking about that?
Great question. Everyone. So the business model we're starting with is a B2B2C model, meaning the physician recommend, the patient are using, the only question is who's the paying. So at first, the patient is the one who's using for the first stage. For the next stage, the idea is to submit, we don't need an FDA for that, there's a wellness app that can work for managing chronic diseases. You can submit it to the insurance, the physician going to get reimbursement from insurance, and a percentage of that going to come to SymptoLab. So there are 2 routes here. The plan is to go both of them depending on the clinic.
And do you have a pricing model set up?
Yeah, so based on comparing to other apps in the market, we couldn't find app that is doing exactly what we're doing, but apps like diabetes or nutrition, stuff like that, we believe that we can get about $40 a month from patients, specifically from the endo community where there's a strong market demand for any solution that can help them. Working with the CPT codes for chronic management, the reimbursement that physician can get is about $160 per month, which is about, again, same price, $40 a month if you're getting about 40% of that.
Okay, and last question. So how do you think about this app being sticky over time, right? So like once you're diagnosed and you understand how to treat certain things that are flaring up, why would someone continue to use your app?
Great question. So there are 2 parts for the app. It's not diagnose, it's managing. So the first part, we're helping the physician understand how to manage this condition. And that's for the physician, for example, to understand which medication to take, how to manage the medications. That's for them. Then the second part is for the patient itself. Let's say I find that you have the reflux, for example, but you don't need to take the strong medication through the entire cycle. You can take a strong medication for the first 3 days and then light medication for the rest of the cycle, but you don't know when to take it, right? So using this app, it can help you how to manage the medication, how to know when each symptom going to flare. So it's basically like, when someone has a limp and is using something to walk with, this is how I see this app. I'm using it on a daily basis just because it's helping me manage my disease instead of this disease that it looks like it's unpredictable, but it's predictable. So once it's predictable, you can control the disease instead of disease controls you. And this is what patients are looking for.
That was great. And I really liked the personal touch, sharing your own story. So thank you for that. One of the things that you talked about that I thought was really compelling was, being bedridden and using your skills to figure out what was wrong with you. I think probably a lot of women in the room can relate to doctors saying, I don't know what's wrong with you, in a nicer way. So is there an opportunity for this product to be helpful in that process? So like a lot of times women don't actually know what's wrong. They know something's wrong. We know inherently my body doesn't feel right, but we don't have the words to explain it, and then it doesn't get diagnosed, and then you end up in bed for 2 years. So is there an opportunity there?
So eventually the idea is to get to an FDA and also help with diagnosis. But just for an example, when I'm saying managing the disease, I got a diagnosis for endometriosis, but that was the end of it. That was the beginning. Why is that the beginning? Because you have 30 symptoms, you do a surgery for endometriosis, and then they tell you that's it. And it's not that's it. You still have the symptoms. And the question is, what of your symptoms are actually endo-related or hormone-related? Doesn't have to be endometriosis. So that is the point where we hope the app can help. Now you're in bed, you have the symptoms, you don't know what's wrong with you. The physician going to help looking on these results and help you figure out what's wrong with you. I think the main difficulty here is not how to diagnose and manage, is how to convince the physician to look on the reports. So all the apps we have today that women are using, they're giving them the results. You go to the physician, and physician doesn't want to look on things that, you said you found, right? This is why the model that we're using is the opposite. We're coming from the physician. We're working with physician already now to understand from them what they are looking for in an app so they can trust the results. So this is why I'm saying when we're talking about the business model, the physician recommend, the patient are using, and that's the biggest part here. They get the report, they go back to the physician, and then he's looking at it. And this is, I think, where the thing that they can help them understand the source of the problem, because the physician is going to be part of the solution and part of looking on the data, which is what we're missing today.